Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. As you can see, I'm outside in the wilderness. Well, it's not really wild here. It's kind of semi-wild. They do maintain it, but there are plenty of areas around here that look kind of wild, and I love that. But anyway, I'm enjoying the beautiful spring weather, and I'm super excited today because I'm going to be showing you how to make 10 pairs of earrings. And I know that's a lot, but we'll try to get through the video as quickly as possible. I did shorten some of the steps, so you might see some fast forwarding, that kind of thing, but hopefully you can follow along. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, you can always tap on it, timestamps down below in the description section of this video, and that way you can go from one earring to the next quickly. But anyway, I'm going to be using the beads that came in the Bargain Bead Box, and I think it was for the month of March. And if you don't subscribe to Bargain Bead Box, don't worry, because you can still make these earrings. You're just going to have to go into your own stash and find beads that are similar to the ones that I'm using. The good news is that there are all kinds of earrings in today's video. Some are simple, some are more complex. So whether you're a beginner or advanced, hopefully you enjoy today's tutorial. And I don't have my microphone on today, so hopefully you can hear me okay. If not, I apologize. I left the house without grabbing my mic. I did grab my selfie stick, which is what I'm using right now, but I forgot my microphone, unfortunately. But anyway, one of the things I decided to do in today's tutorial is to let you know which bag, which numbered bag the beads came from the Bargain Bead Box for March. So you might find that a little bit frustrating if you like to get through tutorials quickly. But I felt it was necessary to let you know, to make things easy for you. So if you decide to make any of the earrings, you'll know which bag to go into to get the beads that you need for that particular pair of earrings. And like I said, you can always click on the timestamps down below if you want to skip through it. And by the way, if you're not familiar with Bargain Bead Box, I'll leave a link to the website down below in the description section of this video, along with a coupon code in case you're interested. I am going to give you a quick glimpse of the contents before we get into the tutorial. It's going to take a little bit more than 5 minutes. It's not going to take that long. And again, you can skip through that if you want to. And don't forget that I always model my pieces at the end of my tutorials, so please stick around for that. But anyway, I don't want this video to be too long, so let's go ahead and get started. Here we have the latest release of the Bargain Bead Box. And no, it's not a box. As you can see, it's a bag. It comes in an organza bag. I'm pretty sure at one point it must have been in a box. Maybe when it was first released. I'm not sure. In any case, the name stuck and it's Bargain Bead Box. And the name of this bag is the Key Lime Pie Collection. And they spelled pie P-I. I'm not sure why. But anyway, let me go ahead and take the contents out. One of the things I like about Bargain Bead Box is that everything comes labeled very meticulously, as you can see. Let me organize everything and we'll take a quick look at all the contents. Here are 7 strands and we have some loose beads as well. Don't you love all these greens? They're very spring-like. Here we have a 15-inch strand of 8mm crackle beads. The color is Honeydew. And then we have a strand of synthetic coral. It's man-made and they're lotus flower beads and the color is green, as you can see. It's a 7-inch strand. And here we have some jade nuggets. They listed it as serpentine in brackets, and it's a 15-inch strand. So we get quite a few nuggets there. And here we have a strand of faceted rondelles. They measure 6 by 4mm, and the color is opal with AB finish. I love this opal. Oh my gosh, look at this. It's so beautiful. I like these nuggets too. And here we have a strand of green aventurine. It's a 7-inch strand, and these measure 6mm in size, and it is dyed aventurine. And here we have a strand of agate. It's listed as Alishan agate, and it's dyed, and these are 8mm in size, and it's a 7-inch strand. And by the way, these coral beads are 10mm in size. I forgot to mention it. Now these are unusual. I've never seen these before. They're called crystal bell beads, and the color is light jade green with AB finish, and they measure 4mm in size, and it's a 6.5-inch strand. And I think they're called bell beads because of the shape. I'm not sure. They do look like little bells. I really like them. And these are faceted cubic cylinder beads in a champagne color. It's actually champagne shimmer. They measure 4mm in size and there are 40 pieces. Here we have 4 lampwork beads. These are really pretty. Look at this. It looks like it has gold specks in the glass. They measure 12 millimeters in size. How pretty are these? I like them. Now the listing says that they glow, but I'm not sure if they do or not. I'm gonna have to test it. I'm not sure if they glow in the dark. I'll have to look at them in the nighttime with the light off, and I'll let you know. So these are the beads, and let me get the rest of the items. And here we have the rest of the contents. One thing I forgot to show you is that it does come with an insert, as you can see, and they list all of the items on here. And on the other side of the insert is a description, and it does say Happy Pie Day, which I think is the 14th of March, and that's why they call this collection Key Lime Pie. And I have it folded because it also includes the coupon code for this month at their sister site Bead Box Bargains. You get 30% off their sister site on merchandise that's already discounted, so that's pretty amazing. And by the way, I did turn the lights off to see if these beads glow in the dark, and they do. As you can see by the clip, it wasn't completely dark. I had one light on in the room and the overhead lights were all turned off. But as you can see, they do glow in the dark, so that's pretty neat. But anyway, as you can see, these are very unusual looking. I think it's an Art Deco style. Here we have two teardrop shaped jade pendants. They're listed as new jade serpentine teardrops, and they measure 18 by 13 millimeters, and they're drilled at the top from front to back, as you can see. And here we have two Ginkgo shaped pendants. They're listed as white agate Ginkgo leaf drops, and they're carved, and they measure 15 by 19 millimeters, and they're also drilled at the top from front to back. And here we have a teardrop shaped green Aventurine pendant. It measures 24 millimeters in length. Let's see the back. There's the back. I love the faceting. Very, very nice. And the shade of green is pretty close to this one. This is the green Aventurine strand. And here we have some steel spacer beads. They always come in handy. They measure 3.2 millimeters, but what I like about these is that they have large holes. So if you wanted to use leather cord, you could. And there's 100 pieces there, so that's pretty generous. And here we have two half circle links and two half circle pendants. They're the same exact shape, except these have two holes, as you can see, and these only have one. And they're actually 18 karat gold plated, so that's pretty nice. They measure 10.5 by 21 millimeters. And these are very unusual looking pendants. I love them. They're listed as hammered Art Deco half oval pendants, and they measure 40 by 29 millimeters. Let's see the back. There's the back. What a cool design. And here we have some bead caps. There's a total of 40, and these measure 6 millimeters across. They're listed as hypoallergenic stainless steel, so that's nice. And here we have a large lobster clasp, and this one's 18 karat gold plated as well, with a couple of 6 millimeter jump rings. I'm pretty sure these are 18 karat gold plated as well. The clasp measures 19.5 millimeters. We also have some 18 karat gold plated chain. There's 1 meter's worth, and the links measure 4 by 3 millimeters. So it's a nice size link. And here we have some ear studs. They're half circle shaped, just like the links and the pendants. And they're also 18 karat gold plated. For those of you who can't wear base metals, I'm one of them. Whenever I wear base metals, I break out right away. Let me see the front side. There's the front side. It's smooth in the front. And they measure 8 by 10 millimeters. So as you can see, Bargain Bead Box includes gemstones, crystals, and some 18 karat gold plated items. Of course, you're not going to get solid gold because it's a very reasonably priced bead subscription, but you get quite a bit for what you pay, that's for sure. It's a subscription, and it goes for $23 a month, which is pretty decent because the retail value is usually about $60. So anyway, I'll link the website down below along with a coupon code for a small discount off your first subscription. And now that we've taken a look at everything, let's go ahead and jump into today's project. We're going to start with this lovely teardrop shaped earring. It measures about 2 inches in length, not counting the ear wire hook. And as you can see, I wire up to teardrop shaped serpentine jade bead. We got a set of 2, and here's the other one. It came in bag number 2, and it measures 18 by 13 millimeters. And right below that, I used a jade nugget, and it came in bag number 4. And obviously, since they're nuggets, they're all different sizes. So what I tried to do is I tried to pick one that was very similar. So hopefully you'll be able to pick 2 that are alike from your strand. And if not, any type of nugget would do. I believe these measure about 11 millimeters in length and maybe 6.5 millimeters wide. As you can see, I used some of the Rondelles that came in the collection. They came in bag number 9, and these measure 6 by 4 millimeters. And the color is Sea Opal AB. I also used some crystal bell beads that came in bag number 10, and they measure 4 millimeters in length, and the color is light jade green with AB finish. I used the steel spacer beads from bag number 12, and they measure 3.2 millimeters across. These are from my own collection. These are 4 millimeter jump rings, and I believe they're 18 karat gold plated, and so is the ear wire hook. Now to make this earring, I actually used some memory wire. I'm going to be cutting a piece of this memory wire, and I believe this memory wire is 0.7 millimeters in thickness. You don't want anything thicker than that because it'll be hard to make that shape. As you know, memory wire retains its shape very easily, so you have to kind of train it. And to do the wire wrapping, I'm going to be using some 24 gauge wire, and this is in a gold color, as you can see. So let me clear my board. We're going to work on the teardrop shaped bead first, and then we'll assemble the earring. I've cut myself a piece of 24 gauge wire, and this piece measures about 18 inches. I'm going to go ahead and slide the bead onto it, bring it to the center. It doesn't have to be exact. And now I'm going to go ahead and cross my pieces like this. And this may be actually the most difficult earring out of the 10. But anyway, you want to cross your wires like this at the top of the bead. And now I'm going to grab them and I'm going to twist a couple of times. You don't want to twist too many times because then you'll end up with a very long wrap. And you really don't want that wrap to be too long. And now I'm going to go ahead and straighten my wires like this. Using my round nose pliers, I'm going to grab that wrap kind of like this. Bend my wires back, reposition my pliers like this, take both pieces and wrap them around the nose of my pliers, flip my pliers around, continue to wrap to the back, and your loops may get out of shape a little bit, but that's okay because we're going to fix that. We'll fix it later on. I'm going to grab both loops with these pliers. And now I'm going to take these two pieces and I'm going to wrap them around the neck. I think that's what you call this part. At least that's what I call it. Make sure your bead is centered. And we're going to continue to wrap around the top of the bead. Let me just remove the pliers. And I'm going to turn the bead as I wrap. So I'm holding on to both pieces like this, and I'm turning it the best way that I can. I want my wire to cover the holes, so I'm going to go just a little bit below where the holes are. I think that looks pretty good. Let me check the other one. You want to make sure they match, and I think they do. And now I'm going to take it upward at an angle like this and wrap around the top. That's good enough. Let me just straighten everything out a little bit. Straighten my loop. Using flush cutters, I'm going to snip off the excess wire and tuck those ends in. You definitely don't want anything sharp. Let me fix my loop. Check my other one to make sure it matches, and it looks like it does. It's close enough, and that's all there is to it. It's pretty easy, guys. It really is. It doesn't have to be neat either. This is kind of like a messy wrap. I do want my loop to be this way, because that's how this one is. So now we're going to work on the frame of the earring. Here are all my beads and findings. Here's my memory wire. I'm going to cut myself a loop. And of course, whenever you cut memory wire, you need to make sure you use memory wire cutters. So there's our loop. Now we're not going to use all of this. We'll be cutting off the excess. To form the loop, I'm going to use these pliers. These are by Beadalon. And I'm going to grab the wire like this. I'm going to use the small barrel. And I'm going to turn it this way. You want to make sure you close your loop. So there it is. And now we're ready to slide the beads on. I'm going to start by sliding on one of these gold ones. And now 5 of these. So there's 1, And I'm sliding it on with the narrow part of the bead in first. I mean, you can do it the other way if you want to. There's 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is what we have. And now another gold bead, spacer bead. And now 3 of these rondelles. Like this. Another gold spacer bead. And now this nugget. Another gold spacer bead. Let me show you what we have so far. This is what we have. Obviously, the center is going to be this bead, so we'll be cutting off quite a bit of the memory wire. And now I'm going to continue the bead pattern, repeating the same thing on this side. Now for these, as you can see, I'm going in with the white end first and the narrow end of the bead facing away. So it's the opposite from this side. So this is what we have so far. It's pretty nice. I like this combination of beads. So now we're going to form a loop at this end. But before I cut anything off, I want to bend my wire to try to get it into the shape that I need. You want to do this before you cut your wire and form the loop, because you want those beads to have a little bit of space, if that makes any sense. If you were to cut your wire first and form a loop, you may not be able to bend it like this because it may be too tight. It does take a little while. You have to kind of train your memory wire. Let's take a look. We're getting there, but I think I need to bend it just a little bit more. That looks pretty good. So now it's safe to cut it and loop it. I'm going to cut it, leaving about 3/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit more. And now using the same pliers, I'm going to go ahead and form a loop. So here's what we have so far. And I think I'm going to bring my loops in a little bit more. So they match this one. That looks pretty good. Now for this bead, I'm going to use some 22 gauge wire. It's in the same color as you can see. It's the same brand. I like to use the same brand because sometimes when you use different brands, the color of the metal can be different. In other words, some craft wire is more yellow than others. This piece measures about 1 3/4 inches. Using these pliers, I'm going to grab the wire at about 3/8 of an inch down, bend it. Using my round nose pliers, I'm going to grab it like this so that it's flush and form a loop. You want to make sure your loop is centered and closed. Slide the bead on. Grab the wire, leaving a little bit of space so you can make a bend. Bend it. If it's too close to the bead, you might crack your bead. That's happened to me before. And now cut off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch. Grab the end with the round nose pliers and form a loop. Let me grab my loop. I want to make sure my loops are straight. So I'm using 2 pliers. So there's my beaded component. And now we just need to assemble everything. Here's my teardrop. It looks like this jump ring is already opened. I'm going to slide this loop through it like this. Close it. Let me open up this one. Slide this loop through it. Now you may be wondering why I just didn't attach a jump ring there. The reason I didn't do that is because sometimes when you do that, the earring doesn't sit straight. It has a tendency to flip around a little bit. At least that's what I've experienced in the past. And now I'm going to open up this loop. Slide my teardrop into it. Close it up. And now let's open up one of these jump rings. Slide it onto this loop like this. Close it up. Then we have one more jump ring. I'm going to slide this jump ring into it like this. Let me just grab it this way. And now the teardrop. And now this jump ring. Like this. Make sure I don't drop everything. And now the ear wire hook. And close it up. Let's take a look. That looks okay. Everything's connected properly, but I think I want the hook to face the other way. So let me go ahead and change that. I'll explain why in just a few moments. I like it better like this because I can see the angle of that wrap a little bit better this way. I want that to be the front, but it really doesn't matter. You can do it whichever way you want because both sides of that teardrop are pretty nice. But anyway, I really like the way these turned out. I think they're really pretty. So let's go ahead and move on to the next pair of earrings. Here's a very easy pair of earrings to make, and all you need are these 3 beads. These are actually glow-in-the-dark beads. Let me turn my lights off and show you. I'm not turning all of them off. I'm turning just the overhead lights off. I think you can see that it's glowing in the dark a little bit. You can definitely see this one. I'm turning my lights back on. There we go. But anyway, these are lampwork beads. They measure 12 millimeters in size and they came in bag number 8. These are synthetic coral beads. They're man-made. They measure 10 millimeters in size and they came in bag number 5. This one here is a crackle glass bead. It measures 8 millimeters in size and it came in bag number 7. I have 2 bead caps from bag number 13 and these measure 6 millimeters in size. I have 1 spacer bead and it came in bag number 12. It measures 3.2 millimeters. And this ball head pin is from my own collection. And so is this ear wire hook. I'm going to use the ball head pin on this one and 20 gauge wire on these 2. Let's go ahead and work on this large one first. I'm going to slide a bead cap on. And now the large bead. And now the other bead cap. Like so. Using round nose pliers, I'm going to grab the pin at the top of the bead like this. Bend it, reposition my pliers, wrap the tail around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around and continue to wrap to the back. I'm going to grab the loop, grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. Tuck in the little end. You want to make sure you tuck any sharp end in. You don't want any sharp ends. So there's the bottom of the earring. And here I have a piece of 20 gauge wire. It measures about 1 3/4 inches in length. I'm going to grab it 3/8 of an inch down, bend it, grab the end, form a loop, Make sure it's centered and make sure it's closed. Let me flatten it. Slide my bead on. Bend it. Snip off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch. Grab the end, make sure it's flush, and form a loop. I'm going to grab the loop with these pliers, grab the other loop, and line up my loops. I'm going to mount this one the same way. Of course, it's smaller, so this is a shorter piece of wire. It's about 1.5 inches. As you can see, I've also loaded a spacer bead on top of this bead. I'm going to go ahead and create a loop. And now we just need to assemble the earring. So I'm going to open up this loop, slide this bead into it, make sure it's hanging properly. I want the petals pointing downward. I think I forgot to mention that this is actually a little flower. And now let me open up this loop. Slide the large bead into it and close it. And instead of opening up this loop, I'm going to open up the ear wire hook, I think. I just don't want that spacer bead to pop out. So now this earring is finished. It's a very simple pair of earrings, but I like them. Now, if you don't want something this long, you could always eliminate one of these beads, obviously, and just have 2 instead of 3. So anyway, guys, I hope you like this pair of earrings. Let's move on to the next pair. Here are the materials for this earring. As you can see, I'm using a couple of crackle glass beads. They came in bag number 7 and they measure 8mm in size, and the color is honeydew. I also have some of the crystal rondelles from bag number 9, and these measure 6 by 4mm. And I have a bunch of steel spacer beads from bag number 12. They measure 3.2mm. I also have a ball head pin, an ear wire hook, and I've cut myself 4 pieces of craft wire, 20 gauge. And this earring is very easy to make. We're going to start with the bottom drop, this green one. So I'm using a ball head pin and one of these spacer beads, like so. I'm going to grab the pin right above the bead, bend it, reposition my pliers, wrap the tail around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around, and continue to wrap to the back. I'm going to grab the loop, grab the tail, and do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess using flush cutters. Tuck the little end in. Sometimes it's hard to see where it is. And let me straighten my loop so it's centered. So there's the bottom drop. And now we have to form these 3 components. I'm going to grab the wire 3/8 of an inch down, bend it, grab the end with my round nose pliers, form a loop, make sure my loop is closed and centered. Let me flatten it. I'm going to slide a spacer bead on and 3 of these rondelles. And another spacer bead, like that. I'm going to grab the wire above the bead, bend it, cut off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch. Grab the end, make sure it's flush, and form a loop. Let me straighten my loops out. So there's one. And I'm going to do a second one just like that. So now I have 2. And now we're going to form this bottom one. So once again, I'm going to grab the wire 3/8 of an inch down, bend it, form a loop. I'm going to slide a spacer bead on, 2 rondelles, and now this drop, like that, and another 2 rondelles, and another spacer bead. So that's what we have. I'm going to grab the wire right by the spacer bead, bend it, cut off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch, and form a loop. Let me go ahead and line up my loops. And now we're going to bend this piece a little bit. Let me make sure it matches that one. I'm actually going to bend these loops up a little bit as well. Let's take a look. Let me just bend them a little bit more upward. That's good enough. And now we just need to mount this bead. I'm going to do some simple loops, just like I've been doing. I'm going to open up this one, slide these 2 components into it, close it. So that's what we have. And now I'm going to open up this one, slide this component into it, close it. So now we just need to connect these 2 components together. And this is the tricky part. You really do need to make sure you connect everything properly. So it's going to go like this. Let me go ahead and open up this loop here. And now I need to slide this component into it. This way, I think. Let me just double check. That looks correct. And once you think you have it connected properly, close it up. And everything should lay properly. If it doesn't, it means you haven't connected it right. And that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to open up this loop and slide the ear wire hook into it and close it. So here are my finished earrings. I really like them. I hope you like them as well. I want to make sure you understand how I connected these components. If you'll notice, the loops on this one are parallel to my mat, and same thing with this one. So therefore, these 2 components have to have loops that are vertical or perpendicular to the mat. I hope that makes sense. So anyway, now we're going to move on to the next pair of earrings. Let me get the materials for that. And here we have another teardrop shaped earring, but this time we're going to use some beading wire to form this part. As you can see, I have my beads lined up. These champagne colored ones are faceted cube cylinder beads, and they measure 4 millimeters in length, and they came in bag number 11. This bottom one is an agate bead. It measures 8 millimeters, and it came in bag number 6. These 2 are green Aventurine beads, and they came in bag number 20, and they measure 6 millimeters in size. I also have some of the steel spacer beads that came in bag number 12. They measure 3.2 millimeters in size. And I'm showing you all these sizes again to make it easy for you, because this is a very long video. And if you're using the timestamps, then you might have missed out on the beginning of the video where I actually showed you the contents of this bead collection. But anyway, these 2 bead caps came in bag number 13. They measure 6 millimeters in size. And here I have an ear wire hook, a crimp tube, a 4 millimeter jump ring, and a clamshell cover, which I'm going to use to hide the crimp tube once we squash it. We're not going to crimp it, we're actually going to squash it. And for the beading wire, I'm going to use this one. This one's pretty thick. It's by Softflex, and it measures 0.019 of an inch or 0.48 millimeters in thickness. I've cut myself a 6-inch piece, I'm going to place a clip at this end so I don't lose the beads. And now I'm going to go ahead and slide my beads on. I'm going to start with the cylinder beads, and I'm going to slide 5 of them onto the beading wire. Like this. And now a spacer. And now one of these bell-shaped beads. And I'm going to slide the narrow end first, like this. And now another spacer bead. And one of these green aventurines. And now a bead cap, the large agate bead, another bead cap, and now a green aventurine, a spacer bead, a bell-shaped bead, and this time I'm sliding the white end of the bead in first, another spacer bead, and now my cylinder beads, 5 of them. So here's the bead sequence. So now we're going to slide on this crimp tube cover, but I'm going to open it up first to make things easy. Like this. I'm going to slide it onto my beading wire. And now the crimp tube. I'm going to remove the clip from this end and put it on this other end. And now I'm going to slide the other end through the clamshell cover. Hopefully it'll fit through there because this is very thick beading wire. There we go. Bring it down. And now I'm going to go through the crimp tube as well. Slide everything down. Let me remove the clip. So this is what we have. You want to take out the slack, and I'm going to separate my beading wire as well. You want to make sure it's not twisted inside that tube. And it's kind of difficult to tell because it twists automatically. But if you pull on both ends separately like this, you should be able to tell if it's twisted or not. And now using some chain nose pliers, I'm going to grab the tube. And I'm going to go ahead and squeeze it to flatten it out. I usually like to turn it like this and squash it from this side. And now I'm going to go ahead and snip off the ends. And now I'm going to go ahead and close my crimp cover. I'm going to bend this piece of metal back just a little bit. Using my round nose pliers, I'm going to grab it and form a loop. And that's what we have so far. Let me open up my jump ring. Slide this loop into it. And now the ear wire hook and close it up. You do want to make sure that your jump ring is absolutely 100% closed because the metal on this clamshell cover is pretty thin and you don't want it sliding out. So there are my finished earrings. I love the combination of the champagne and the green, and I love that we have 3 different shades of green. So let's move on to the next pair of earrings. Let me get the materials for that. Here are the materials for this pair of earrings. I think this might be earring number 5, I'm not sure, but who's counting, right? We know we're going to make a total of 10. Like I said, if you want to look at the timestamps down below in the description section, you can jump from one to the other very easily. But anyway, I decided to use the Ginkgo shaped bead. It's made out of white agate and it measures 15 by 19 millimeters and it's from bag number 3. I have some more of the nugget beads and they're from bag number 4. And like I said, the sizes vary, so you're going to have to find 4 that are similar, or at least 2 pairs that are similar. As you can see in this earring, I have 2 at the top that are more transparent than the 2 on the bottom. But I mean, if you can find 4 that are exactly the same, that would be the ideal. I have some more of the bell-shaped beads. They came in bag number 10 and they measure 4 millimeters in size. I have an ear wire hook from my own collection, and I also have a crimp bead cover from my own collection as well. I think it measures about 5 millimeters once it's closed, maybe 6. You want something pretty large because we're actually going to be hiding some wraps inside of it. And this time I'm going to use 24 gauge for the wire, and it's in a gold color. I've cut myself a 6-inch piece. I'm going to slide my bead onto it, my Ginkgo bead, like this. I'm going to bend my wire upward and cross the 2 pieces at the top of the bead. Like this. I'm going to grab both pieces and I'm going to go ahead and twist my bead about 2 times. So now we have some wraps, as you can see. Let me just bend my pieces upward a little bit. I'm going to slide my crimp cover on like this. To close it, I'm going to use these pliers. These are actually crimping pliers. You want to do it nice and slow so you don't dent the metal. And I'm going to go all the way around the bead to get a nice round shape. So that's what we have. And now we need to slide some beads on. So I'm going to slide on this bell-shaped bead first with a narrow end down, like this. Another one on the other side. And now my nugget beads, one on this side and one on the other side. Another one. And another one on this side. And now the bell-shaped bead again. But this time I'm going in with the wide end first, like that. And another one on this side. So that's what we have so far. I'm going to cross my wires at the top, like this. And now I'm going to grab both pieces and give it a couple of twists, like that. I'm going to snip off one of these ends, straighten my wire out, grab the wraps, bend the wire back, reposition my pliers, wrap the tail around the nose, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. I'm going to grab the loop, grab the tail, and I'm going to create a couple of wraps right on top of the ones that I created a few moments ago. Snip off the excess, tuck in the little end. Let me turn my loop so it's this way. And now I'm going to open up the loop of this ear wire hook. And slide this loop into it and close it. Let me just shape this a little bit so it matches the other one. And this one's done. I think these are really darling and very easy to make. So let's go ahead and move on to earring number 6. Let me get the materials for those. We're going to make a very cute pair of earrings with little dangles hanging down, as you can see. Let me go ahead and go over the beads. We have the lotus flower bead from bag number 5. It measures 10 millimeters in size. We have the crackle glass bead from bag number 7. It measures 8 millimeters in size. We have the bell-shaped beads from bag number 10. They measure 4 millimeters in size. We have the faceted cubic cylinders from bag number 11. They measure 4 millimeters in size. We have 2 bead caps from bag number 13. They measure 6 millimeters across. I have ball head pins from my own collection, and I have an ear wire hook. We're going to use 22 gauge wire in a gold color. And let's go ahead and mount this bead first. I've cut myself a 2-inch piece. I'm going to grab the wire at the top, 3/8 of an inch down, bend it, Using round nose pliers, I'm going to grab the end, making sure it's flush, and form a loop. Let me slide on a cylinder bead, and now a bead cap, and the lotus flower bead, like this. I'm going to grab the wire, bend it, cut off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch, and form a loop. Let me line up my loops. So that part's done. And now we need to create some dangles. Let me create this one first. I'm going to slide on a bead cap. And now the bead, like this. Using round nose pliers, I'm going to grab the pin right above the bead, bend it, reposition, wrap the tail around the nose, flip the pliers around, and continue to wrap to the back. Now I'm not going to close it with wraps just yet because we're going to be attaching some chain, so I'm going to put it down, and I'm going to create 4 dangles. I'm going to do the cylinder bead first. And this time I am going to create some wraps. So I'm going to grab the loop, grab the tail, and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. Tuck in the little end. So there's one. And let me do another one. So now I have 2 cylinder beads completed. And now I'm going to do 2 more with the bell-shaped beads. So now I have 2 cylinder beads and 2 bell-shaped beads with wrap loops. And with these other ones, I'm going to create an open loop just like this one. So now that I have my beads lined up, I'm going to get the chain, and I'm going to use the chain that came in the bag. It's 18 karat gold plated, and the links measure 4 by 3 millimeters. Now the best way to do this is to not cut the chain just yet. So I'm going to lay it down off to the side like this, and I'm going to start by sliding on some dangles onto this component. So let me go ahead and open up this loop. I'm going to slide a green one on first, one of these bell-shaped beads, and then a cylinder like this. And now my chain, I'm sliding the last link onto the loop like this, and now another green bead and a champagne colored bead. So that's what we have. Let me close this loop up carefully, make sure I don't lose anything because there's not a lot of space here. So now I've attached 4 dangles as well as the lotus bead. And now I'm going to attach the next dangle into the first link of the chain, this one right here. Let me open up the loop a little bit to make things easy. Pick up my chain, and I'm going to slide it into this link. Like this. Grab the loop. Grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. Tuck in the end. So now I've attached 1 dangle to the chain. And I'm going to attach the next dangle onto the other side of the same link. Let me show you. As you can see, this dangle is on this side of the link. I'm going to attach the next dangle onto this side, and it'll be a green bead. Let me open up the loop. Pick up my work, slide the dangle into the link, like that. Grab the loop, grab the tail, and do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess, tuck in the little end. So now I have 2 dangles attached to the first link, and I'm going to do the exact same thing with the next link down. I'm going to attach these last 2 dangles. So now I have all my dangles attached, and as you can see, I did alternate colors. So I started with a champagne bead first, then the green one, then a green one, and a champagne, champagne green, green champagne. You don't have to do it like that, but I think it looks nicer if you do. So now we're going to attach this one, and it's going to go on the same link as these last 2. So let me open up the loop a little bit, pick up my work, and let me check to see which link. It's this one right here. I'm going to grab the loop, grab the tail, and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. Tuck in the little tail. And now we just need to cut off the excess chain, the chain that we don't need. And you want to make sure you cut the correct link. So I think it's going to be this one. And this is steel chain, so it's pretty tough to cut. So there we go. And now the only thing we need to do is to attach the ear wire hook. And that's pretty easy. I'm simply going to open up this loop, slide my hook into it, and close it up. So that earring is done. And here's the other one. I think these are so darling. I hope you like them as well. Let's move on to the next pair of earrings. I couldn't resist these half circle components. Same thing with the ear studs. The ear studs came in bag number 17, and they measure 8 by 10 millimeters. They're 18 karat gold plated. Now, unfortunately, I'm not going to use the earring back because I tried to use it on this one and it actually bent the post. I couldn't get it through. So I definitely don't want to damage them. I'm going to use my own earring backs. Now, you may not have the same problem. You may be able to slide yours through. But anyway, as you can see, I also have one of the green Aventurine beads, and they came in bag number 20, and they measure 6 millimeters in size. And this component came in bag number 16. It measures 10.5 by 21 millimeters, and it's 18 karat gold plated as well. And this ring is from my own collection. I got this set from Amazon quite a while ago, and as you can see, they come in different colors and different sizes. And this one measures 12 millimeters in size. I also have a flat head pin, and I guess I need a jump ring. Here's one. It measures 4 millimeters across. Let me go ahead and mount the bead first. I'm going to slide it onto the flat head pin, grab the pin, bend it, snip off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch or so. Grab the end, form a loop. Now this part is a little tricky, I'm not going to lie, because now we have to slide both the ring and this component into that loop. So I'm going to open up the loop, slide the component in, like that, and now the ring, and close the loop. So that's what we have so far. Let me open up this jump ring, Slide the half circle component into it. And now the ring. And close up my jump ring. So that wasn't too bad. These are actually very easy to make. And I love how they hang. Isn't that adorable? I like the mixed metals too. I like the bronze and the gold. And the different textures as well. So let me get the materials for the next pair of earrings. Are you ready for something easy? This is definitely very easy to make. Now I did dig into my stash and I grabbed some spacer beads and this bead cap. They did not come in the Bargain Bead Box. And neither did the flathead pin or the ear wire hook, as you know. And guys, I got the ear wire hooks on Amazon. They're 18 karat gold plated and I got a whole bag of them at a pretty reasonable cost. I don't remember how much, but if you go into Amazon and search for ear wire hooks, 18 karat gold plated ear wire hooks, you should be able to find them. But anyway, these are Tibetan style spacer beads. I think they measure 4 millimeters across. I got those on Amazon as well. And I got this bead cap from the sister site, Bead Box Bargains. It measures 7 millimeters across and it's called a 6-petal dotted bead cap. And here I have 2 nuggets from bag number 4. Like I said, the sizes vary. So I tried to get 2 that were pretty similar. I'm not too concerned about it though, because nobody's going to look at your earrings and try to figure out whether the right earring matches the left earring. But they're pretty close, as you can see. I have another one of the cylinder beads. They measure 4 millimeters across from bag number 11 and they're in a champagne color, as I mentioned before. The gold spacer bead is from bag number 12 and it measures 3.2 millimeters across. So let me show you how easy this is. I'm going to slide on the spacer bead first. And now this bead cap. And now the nugget and a spacer bead. Another nugget. Another spacer bead. And the cylinder bead. Just like that. I'm going to grab the pin right above the bead, leaving a little bit of a space, bend it, cut off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch. Grab the end, make sure that it's flush with the barrels, and form a loop. You want to make sure your loop is closed and centered. And now I'm simply going to open up this loop, slide my ear wire hook into it, and close it. How easy is that? It doesn't get any easier than that. So if you want a quick pair of earrings, these are definitely the ones. And the next pair is going to be very similar. Let me get the materials for that. I absolutely love this bead here and I had to use it again. It's the lampwork bead from bag number 8 and it measures 12 millimeters across and it's a glow-in-the-dark bead. We have the lotus bead from bag number 5. It measures 10 millimeters across. Like I said, it's synthetic coral. And we have a faceted rondelle from bag number 9 and it measures 6 by 4 millimeters. And of course we have the 3 spacer beads from bag number 12. They measure 3.2 millimeters across. And I also have a flat head pin and an ear wire hook. I'm going to slide on a spacer bead first and then the lampwork bead. Another spacer bead, the lotus flower bead, another spacer bead, and the rondelle. Just like that. I'm going to grab the pin right above the bead, bend it, snip off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch. Grab the end and form a loop. Let me straighten my loop out. Open it up. Slide my ear wire hook into it. Close it. And this one's done. Super, super easy. I like projects that are easy. So now we're going to move on to the final pair of earrings. Let me get the materials for those. I'm going to be using some of my own beads for this pair of earrings. As you can see, it has peridot chips, and they're not very big. They're kind of small. They measure approximately on the average about 2.5 millimeters in thickness and between 4 and 6 millimeters in length, something like that. Some of them are smaller and some of them are larger. I have some Tibetan style cylinder beads there. I think they measure about 6 millimeters in length and maybe 4.5 millimeters in width. I have some more of the steel spacer beads from bag number 12. They measure 3.2 millimeters across. I have a clamshell cover, and I also have a crimp tube. And here I have a metal curved tube bead. It measures about 2.5 centimeters from end to end. I also have some ball head pins and an ear wire hook. I'm going to be using some beading wire for this earring. And this time I'm going to use this one. This one's 49 strand, and it measures 0.015 of an inch in thickness, or 0.38 millimeters, and it's in a bronze color. I've cut myself a generous amount. This piece measures about 10 inches in length. Let me go ahead and place a clip at this end. And I'm going to start by sliding on a spacer bead. And let me go ahead and get some chips from this strand. I'm going to grab several at a time and slide them onto my beading wire. And I'm going to slide on approximately 12 or so. So that's 11. And that's 12. So that's what we have so far. And now another spacer bead and this tube bead, like that. Let me put it down because we have to create some dangles now. I should have done that first, but it's super easy. I'm going to slide on a spacer bead. And of course, I forgot to bring out the green Aventurine. I guess I'm getting kind of tired. So here's 4 of them. I'm going to slide one onto my ball head pin, like so. And now let me create a wrap loop. And I want this loop to be pretty big. So there's one, and now I'm going to create another one just like this one. There's the second one. So there's my third dangle. And I'm actually going to need 2 jump rings as well. They're 4 millimeters in size. And now I've got my cat Boo Boo meowing at me. There's always a challenge. I actually don't mind my cat. He's my best friend. So let me see if I can do this with him on my armrest. That's where he's at right now. He's actually trying to get on top of the bead mat. Okay, so now he's on my lap. I'm going to slide on one of these jump rings. And now one of these Tibetan style tube beads. And now one of these single bead dangles. Another one of these Tibetan style tube beads. And now the middle dangle, the one with the 2 Aventurine beads. Another one of these cylinder beads, a single dangle, single bead, another one of these tube beads, a jump ring. Let me slide everything down. You want them all to sit on top of that curved metal bead, just like that. And now a steel spacer bead. So that's what we have so far. Pretty simple. And now I'm going to slide on some more of these peridot chips on this side. Now before I go any further, I want to make sure that this side and this side match. And of course, I want them to be the same length as these. And I think I have too many here, so let me remove a couple. So let's take a look. You definitely want both earrings to look the same. And I think that's correct. So now I'm going to slide this end through this bead here. Bring everything down and check it again. I think that looks about right. So now I'm going to open up this clamshell cover, like that. Slide both strands through the bottom of it. and the crimp tube. Bring everything down. Once again, you want to make sure your beading wire is not crossed inside that tube. I think that looks about right. I'm going to go ahead and grab the tube and give it a squeeze to flatten it. Let me spin it around and do this side. Snip off the excess beading wire. Close my clamshell cover. Bend this piece of metal back, grab it with my round nose pliers, and form a loop. So that earring is done, except of course we have to attach the ear wire hook, and I'm going to use a jump ring for that. I have a 4mm jump ring. Let me open it, slide my earring into it, and slide the ear wire hook into it as well. Close it. And there you go. How adorable are these? I think they're very pretty. And again, I love the combination of the two colored greens. I think the chips give it a very organic kind of look and definitely a little rustic. So anyway, guys, now I'm going to arrange all of my earrings on my table so we can look at all the different styles. And I will model them for you at the end of this video, so please stick around for that. So I'll see you in a few moments. So here are my 10 pairs of earrings. I hope I gave you some ideas, and I hope you can make your own. Of course, you could always customize them to suit your taste. For example, if you don't like the length of these, you could use 2 beads instead of 3, or you could use just the dangles and not the large bead of these 2. I'm hoping that my tutorial inspires you. Of course, you're going to end up using quite a few of the beads from the Bargain Bead Box, but that's what we want, right? And if you don't subscribe, you can always use your own beads. I can see using all kinds of colors with all these different designs. So anyway, guys, I'd love to hear your opinion. If you could tell me what your favorite is, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.